our top 5 worst travel day experiences so far. Coming in at number 5 is all the way back from 2011 when we traveled from Germany to London. This is a story that actually happened to me because I decided to bring this iPod with me, and we were going through customs, and this went through like regular security check, and this was actually inside one of these old school speaker cases, and this was in here like this. The guy pulled it off the belt and he was carrying it very carefully. Whose was this? And I was like, that's mine. And he said, come on to the back, and they carried it very carefully and I had to walk with security back into an empty white room. I had to open this up very slowly for them, and I had to show them that it played music. I believe they took another scanner to it as well as I was opening it. I played a little music for them on it, and then I was told I could go, but they had to escort me out of the room. So that was my story, going through security, customs, in London on our very first big trip. Coming in at number 4, we had just gotten off the Disney cruise from the Marvel Day at Sea in Port Miami. Got to the parking garage, loaded up the car, but unfortunately the car would not start. It took us a while, but we finally got somebody. They jump started the car, and then we went about an hour away to a dealership, and they ended up having to replace the battery. After hours of all of this, we finally finished the rest of our vacation. And coming in at number 3, so just after we had finished all that security problems with my iPod, we had to get through customs, and we were at the Heathrow Airport. We spent 2 hours in customs. We didn't finish going through customs until midnight. At midnight, back in 2011, I don't know if this has changed, but the underground stopped at midnight. We were literally rolling our bags up to the gate as they were closing them because we had just missed the last underground subway train. And that was our plan, because we were going to go take that underground subway to our hostel for our trip. Walking around trying to find somebody else for help. Everything was kind of shut down at this point, not a whole lot of people left, and they said, well, you can take the night bus. So we ended up taking the N9 night bus to Kensington. Now, they didn't really drop us off at our hostel. They just kind of dropped us off in the middle of Kensington, and we didn't know really where we were going. And we were also with our cousin, and she lives in Germany, with our luggage, rolling around London for 2 hours from midnight to 2 a.m. We saw across the way a taxi driver, and he was actually kind of done for the night. I think our cousin went over there and was like, where is this hostel at? And he's like, oh, you're really close. I think we were like 1 or 2 streets away from it, actually. There was our hostel. And there it was. After 2 hours, we finally found it. All right, coming in at number 2 is our flight home from Alaska in 2015. Our flight was from Anchorage to Salt Lake City to Atlanta, Atlanta to home. And the first flight went fine. Second flight, we were flying from Salt Lake to Atlanta. However, Atlanta was having really bad weather. So by the time we got to Atlanta, they said they could not land the plane. So what they did was they just circled above the clouds from the storm for an hour. Then they said, oh, we're running out of fuel. So they had to turn the plane around, and we had to land in Alabama. It took another hour to get there, and they had to turn off the plane so that they could refuel. This means we're on a full flight with no air. And it got hot, and we had to sit on the plane for 3 hours. And what they told us to do was roll down your window shades, but I didn't want to roll down my window shade because I'm claustrophobic and I need to look out that dang window. And can I look out that window? No! I kept my shade up. I was claustrophobic and hot. And hot on the plane, and we were sitting there for 3 hours. And it was horrible. It was June, Alabama. It was hot on a full flight. And no air, nothing. You think of when you're loading the plane and the air's going, and then they turn off the air just for a few minutes so they can like get the engine ready, and everyone's like, oh God, it's hot. Think of that feeling for 3 hours. All right, so after those 3 hours, we finally got to take off and fly to Atlanta. And then when we got to the Atlanta airport, our next flight was delayed. But we finally made it home. And that is our number 2 story.
Alright, coming in at number 1 is our flight from Brisbane, Australia to Townsville, Australia.
So this day we got to the airport really early, so early that we couldn't even check in for our flight. So we ended up sitting outside a little like cafe restaurant thing, and right next to us was a sign that said your luggage for carry-on cannot weigh more than this, and it must be this size. So we rolled our luggage over there, put it on the scale. We were under the weight limit. We were exact size measurement. We finally get through security, get checked in for our flight, still with our luggage, and just to keep in mind that we did use the same carry-on luggage for previous Australia flights in this same trip, so we thought we were fine.
In the same airline too.
Same airline. So we really thought we were fine.
As soon as they started boarding our flight, literally we beeped our ticket and was dragging our luggage, you know, the regular
American size suitcase
to put in the overhead compartment.
Beeped our ticket
and was rolling to get on the jetway.
And the lady says, you know what, girls, your luggage looks too big.
And they're like, we're gonna have to check those bags. So they started printing off tickets to check our bags. And they're like, oh, it won't get on this flight.
But it can get on the next flight. There was one more flight after us that it could get onto. And the problem was we weren't staying in Townsville. We were taking a ferry boat over
to Magnetic Island. How are we going to get our luggage and everything?
When we're over on the island, we're not going to be on the mainland. We quickly stuff as much as we can into our backpacks. And I also had this trusty Disney World bag for wet swimsuits and stuff. And the problem was that we were going to Magnetic Island to go snorkeling at the Great Barrier Reef. We needed our swimsuits we needed our towels we brought. And so I ended up stuffing this whole bag.
Yep, and I had a bag and I stuffed it full of swimsuits.
I think we
clothes,
needed for the reef.
Bathroom stuff.
We
stuffed it full so we could shove it under our seat.
And normally under these circumstances it probably wouldn't have been a big deal, but the fact that we were going to the Great Barrier Reef the next day, and we had to snorkel, and we had all this
and
stuff.
Knew that we possibly would not get our luggage by the time we were done snorkeling.
Yeah, and we needed that stuff to snorkel. So we stuffed the bags as best we could. We got on the flight.
They took our luggage away.
And finally got to Townsville.
We waited until that next flight from
Brisbane
came into Townsville
to see if our luggage made it on that flight.
And luggage did not show up.
We had talked to a lot of people throughout those couple hours waiting for our luggage. But finally, the last lady was very helpful. She took more information down, took what the color bags were, all of that.
And then she said where we're gonna stay.
Yeah, and then she said, well, you know what, girls, we can put, when your luggage comes in tomorrow, we can put it on the ferry for you, and you can go to the ferry dock on the island, and you can pick it up there.
After she took all this information, we went ahead and left.
And
we got on the ferry, went to Magnetic Island. We got to our bungalow, woke up the next day, went snorkeling in the Great Barrier Reef, and as we got off the boat for snorkeling,
the drop-off point and the meeting point for that snorkel adventure was the same terminal the ferries come to. We got really lucky. We waited not very long, maybe 5-10 minutes, and here comes the ferry. So we're like, let's just see if our luggage is on this ferry. And there it was, a guy coming off the ferry with our luggage.
Our 2 little suitcases here.
So that concludes today's video on some of our worst experiences. We hope that this doesn't discourage anybody from traveling. Things happen.
So if you guys have any travel stories, we would love to hear them in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye, travelers!